Hello, Bill Molyneux here for Bill's Wargame World. Wow, we are playing the Wrightsville Bridge scenario. This video, along with all the other videos I'll make through the end of July, that money, YouTube money, gets donated to the Gettysburg Foundation. And Goober the Traveling Bear is helping me. We're going to go over the game table really quick and the rules, and we're just going to get started to play 54 millimeter. Alright, well, we're doing the Wrightsville Bridge. We're using these rules tonight. Gettysburg soldiers. They're really for 15s and 28s. They're quite simple. They use an interesting combat chart. And I'm not going to go into it all. It's really a neat system. You can buy them at Historicon, Gettysburg Miniature Toy Soldier Shop. This is my cheat sheet. I put everything on a page. I did add morale for my own purposes. And Goober the Traveling Bear is helping out too. So, the Wrightsville Bridge, that's the Susquehanna River. This is several days before the Battle of Gettysburg. General Gordon is trying to flank the Union Army by crossing the Susquehanna, heading up through Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to Harrisburg, the capital. However, this gigantic 1 mile long bridge gets burned. They can't cross, and they head back to Gettysburg. Our 54 millimeter game is based on, and we have to plug this, the Scott Mingus. Scott Mingus is an incredible author and a historian. He has written several books on Wrightsville and also Winchester, Virginia, and so many books I can't name them all, but at the end of this video we will have pictures of them. Alright, it's a exciting game. Will the Confederates be able to capture the bridge? Let's see what happens. Okay, everyone, we're starting with turn 1, and we play a total of 8 turns. So, I've not tried out the new Wargame room, and it's not quite finished. I have to do some cleaning, hang new lights, but our initiative roll is the first thing we do. 2d6, and you get to choose to move first or second. The Union are 8, and they are going to allow the Confederates to move first. So, I'm going to pause the camera here and move our troops. Alright, I've switched microphones. We'll see what happens. So, our Confederates are advancing, and we have an assortment of figures here. We have Airfix, Marks, BMC, Conte. We even have some lead figures from the 50s. And I can't do that. I'm in column. Crossing the fence is 3 inches. I just don't have enough to break out into line and cross the fence. Now over here, we are going to keep this unit in column, so they're going to be here. Now here we have enough. You know what? We'll keep this unit in column, crossing the fence. So our Confederates have moved, and I'm a little worried about you all getting bored. I'm going to move our Union troops, which really, my 2 detachments of cavalry. By the way, this one's an African American unit. This one here is going to just back off a little bit. And This one's going to move over here. And many of these figures were painted by the great Jim Shaw of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Alright, I'm going to leave the rest of our Confederate troops the way they are. And yes, I will have backing back there at some point for that cinder block wall. I need to get Goober off the table too. Let's pause the camera here. Well, I lowered our camera angle. Now in this rule system, we roll again for who fires first. And the Union get to fire first. So, we're going to have our cavalry carbines fire. And I'm going to have to move our camera angle just a tad. So we have 3 carbines, which is actually 2 stands. Now this is the first time I'm using these rules, so I will go over this a little bit. We have 2 stands, and we're going to roll 2d6, and I'll pause the camera here. Alright, I paused the camera to go over the modifiers. So we're on the 2-3 chart. We get a -1 for firing against that wall. However, we get a +2 for cavalry carbines, being Union carbines. So we're at a +1. We roll our dice. A 9 is rolled, which becomes a 10. And that is 1 stand killed, but no morale check. We're going to pause the camera here. So this unit here has taken a hit. Now I have doubled my stands, so a 3 base unit is actually 6 stands. So we have a unit's taken a hit, and I need to place these back like that. You'll see the reason is it's simultaneous fire. So it really doesn't matter who fires first. But we'll resolve the rest of the Yankee, Union, Federal troops firing, and I'll come back to you. Alright, our Union artillery, which are way over there, across Pennsylvania, that is where the Turkey Hill Ice Cream Experience store is. And we have a 12-pounder and a 3-inch rifle firing, and they scored no hits. The rest of our Union troops, we did 1 more casualty here. And that's about it right now. The Union troops did not do anything else, and we're going to have our Confederates fire back. Well, welcome back. I resolved all our firing, and I'll start here with our Confederates fired on both of the cavalry detachments. This rolled a 2, they rolled a 4. Both were misses. However, I'm going to change our camera angle maybe. The bridge got hit bad. I rolled really well with our Confederate artillery, which is right there. And Dave your Whitworth, which is acting as a 3-inch rifle, rolled a 13. A 12 with the +1 for a hardened veteran and rifle at long range. And it took out 2 hits and retreat. So our 27th Pennsylvania Volunteer Militia is already in disarray, and I have to check on our general, and I think it's Wallace. I forgot. I apologize, Scott, but the general did not roll a 6. He is fine. He did not die. We're going on to turn 2, and already our Union defenses are faltering, and I have to check Scott's scenario book on how the Yankees, the Union troops, can burn the bridge. Welcome back. We're starting turn 2. We have 1 unit that needs to be rallied. We have a general nearby. You see it right there. That's that 27th Pennsylvania unit, which is like 22 figures, but they lost a base. I got them sitting in Susquehanna. I got to send them off to the side. Here we go with a morale check. I rolled a 9, and that's a pass. I know it's an 8. So I'm going to reform them, and we'll pause the camera here. Alright, we reformed them. We're going to see who gets high die for moving first. We got a 7 for the Confederates, an 8 for the Union. The Union will go ahead and move first. I'm going to pause the camera. We'll let it go. Alright. We're going to move our detachment of horsemen here. They're going to take up positions behind the stone wall. This unit here is just going to fall back around the building here. And they rallied and they moved 12. So there we go. What's everyone think of that? Our Union line is stabilized. It looked a little scary at one point. And the Union are done. We're going to go ahead and move our Confederates. Crossing the wall is 3 inches. We're here. Crossing here. I'll pause the camera so you're not losing valuable time watching me move a lot of figures. Alright everyone, thank you for watching. We're going to see what happens with firing. Again, it's simultaneous. We have a 5 for the Union, 8 for the Confederates. Confederates will fire first even though it's simultaneous. And right now I'm going to go ahead and resolve our Confederate firing, and I'll come back to you. I'm going to have the artillery on the ridge lob shells at that unit there, the 27th Pennsylvania Militia, and we'll see what we can do. We have those this cavalry unit here. I guess they're going to be able to shoot at some point. So let me have our Confederates fire and we'll come back to you. Hey, welcome back at the firing phase of turn 2. White pipe cleaners are retreat. We have no routes, but they lost a half a stand. They're going to retreat 6 inches. We have our cavalry detachment here scored a hit and a retreat, so they're going to lose a stand because they've already taken one. And not to make the camera jumbly, I'm going to take over the other side. The Union artillery fired on this column. It caused 2 hits, which is a full stand and a retreat. The rifle pit units, they scored hits here, but no retreat. However, our Pennsylvania militia are going to be running away again, and I haven't checked for their general, and I haven't checked for Gordon either. And we have dice right here, so we have a red and a blue, and neither one is a 6. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move these units and remove the losses and come back to you and begin turn 3. Right, we're going to start our turn 3. We've lost 3 Confederate stands to 2 Union stands. Our Union Pennsylvania, 27th Pennsylvania Volunteer Militia Unit is retreating, but they are rallied. They are going to be able to move. Our officer is not dead. The artillery batteries are not doing counterfire. They are trying to knock out units. Now, this unit here lost a base. A full stand is retreated, but it wasn't a rout, so they don't have to check morale again. And this unit over here. So right now, these militia troops are holding, but we'll see what happens for turn 3. and the Union get to move first. I'm going to pause the camera, and for time's sake, I'll go ahead and move both sides and come back to you. Alright everyone, I moved both sides. Boy. Now, Elwood Woody Christ, he used to have a saying for a big melee going on, but we have our cavalry here. I'll think of the word. It was something to do with a river or a stream, and so it was a popular term during the Civil War. Our Confederates are pushing hard on that flank, but our Union detachment of cavalry are holding up well behind the stone wall on the side of the building. Now, I'm going to take the camera to the other side, and Elwood Woody Christ, famous historian's word was a Donnybrook or something to that effect when he had a big battle like this. Our Confederates in the center are pushing our Pennsylvania militia. Our other troops, our Union infantry in the rifle pits, are standing against that unit, and we're going to go ahead and resolve fire for both sides. I think I'll resolve the fire and move the troops and come back to you, and I hope you're enjoying this style of gameplay. I know some people feel sometimes my games are going too long, so I'm trying to not include a lot of the monotonous of me moving and rolling dice. I'll come back to you in a minute. Alright, we're at the end of turn 3, going into turn 4. Start off with the rifle pits. As you can see, the Union lost a stand, two hits, and caused a retreat. They can reform. Our 27th, which is just getting lambasted between artillery and infantry fire, are now routing. They're going to have to roll, I think, a 9 or a 10. And I did not check generals. I forgot. Oh, we have a dead. General Gordon is dead. He is down. Or is... I rolled a 6 on the red die. Alright, well, that's not good. By the way, there's an old guide story about the Barlow-Gordon incident. Well worth checking out. It's quite interesting. I won't bore you with that story, but if you have time, you might want to look it up. It's an old guide story. So, I'm going to move our camera to the other side. Well, here we have taken out both cavalry detachments, and we have rifle pits. So, Goober is overseeing some of the casualties in the Susquehanna River. The Wrightsville town has a nice little museum, by the way, and diorama. So our Confederate troops are driving forward, going into, I think, turn 5 or turn 4. I have to look over on I have dice I'm turning for my turns. And I also have to see about if it's time for our Yankees to call it a day. So we'll go into the next turn. First thing I'm going to do is see about the routing unit. And I rolled snake eyes. Our Union unit, even with the general with snake eyes, they have no cover. They have surrendered. Oh my goodness gracious. So the 27th Pennsylvania has surrendered. We have to find out the fate of our general. I think he's a hardened general, and we'll say he will attach himself to the other unit on anything but a 1, and I can't believe it. Our general rolled a 1. He surrendered with the troops. All right. By the way, I have these figures glued on bases. And I'm just going to stop play for a second to talk about that. The reason I did this was, in my old age, I'm getting really tired of trying to move hundreds of figures individually. This is one of the best ideas I came up with. Ron, the Pretzel Snyder King, uses magnets. I went ahead and just glued them. But Ron is a great inspiration along with Walt and all the chuckleheads. So, I have to check our who's going to move first. The Union troops are going to get across the bridge and try to burn it. However, I rolled a 10 for the Confederates and an 8 for the Union. Confederates are going first. Oh my goodness gracious. I'll pause the camera here and I'll move both sides. Okay everyone, I've got everyone moved. Our Confederates are driving here to the rifle pits. Gordon, by the way, is mortally wounded and removed from the table also. Our Confederates are trying to get across the bridge. Because they got to move first, the militia troops did not get on the bridge. Now, I'm going to go over to the other side. And here we have the Donnybrook, as Elwood Woody Crisp would say. And I think the militia will probably lose. They're a -2 against Hardin +1. We'll see what happens. My artillery batteries, and David, your Whitworth that you gifted me has been rolling spectacular so far. So, and Jack Brendel from Arizona, your 12-pounder that you gifted me has sort of been fair. It doesn't do quite so well not being a rifled gun. But, you never know. I'm going to go ahead and resolve the combat here. I also have to check my scenario notes from Scott Mingus's wonderful Cross Saber scenario book available on Wargaming Vault and see about this bridge burning. Okay everyone, we had a lot of combat in this phase. The 12-pounder failed to hit anything on the ridge. However, the Union 3-inch rifle scored a direct hit on the limber gun here, killed the crew, and that is out of action. David M., your 3-inch rifle is fine. And they failed to score hits on the Union battery. Now, the rifle pits got overrun, and it was incredible die rolls. And the Union just didn't have the die roll on the melee chart. And our Confederates are on the bridge. And I'm going to go over to the other side and get another camera angle. Now on this side, our Confederates here lost a stand, but they didn't. On this chart, it has a listing, you lose a stand, but you may not lose, you don't retreat or rout. It depends what you roll. So even with, this represents 2 stands in my game, but they're fine, even though they did take losses. Our Union troops that were in the rifle pits, the militia, they have a route, and they're at the Susquehanna River, and they're swimming across. They're calling it a day. So, the artillery battery, according to Scott Mingus's scenario notes, has no limbers or horses. So, they're going to lob shells. There is no militia to run across the bridge and to fire the bridge. So, what we have left of Gordon and Early are heading across the bridge. We will do one last die roll for the Yankees, for our Union troops, the Federals, and if we roll a 1, they were able to set it on fire after all. Nothing happens. So we have changed history at the Wrightsville Bridge outside of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The Confederates are crossing the Susquehanna in force. They'll swing north, head towards Harrisburg, and cause General Meade an enormous amount of issues. Now, looking at the clock, this took me 2 hours and 10 minutes to play, and it was very enjoyable having the bases, the figures on the bases. Again, I was going to use with hot lead, cold steel, But I wanted to try these rules out. I've had them for a year or two. And for 54 millimeter, what I did is I doubled the ranges and the movement from 6s and 12s to 12s and 24s. And very enjoyable evening. Goober says thank you for watching because you help generate money for my YouTube channel, which I donate. And I think that's it. Stay safe, be kind, be courteous, and don't forget to buy a Scott Mingus Civil War book. Go on Amazon. He's got a whole batch of them. And scenario books on the Wargaming Vault. Thank you again, everyone.